They had a new bank president come in and he started laying people off. He called me into the office. I thought to meet me and maybe want to talk about some creative marketing ideas. I was really bored there at the bank. And he told me to get all my crap. He called it another word. He said, get all your stuff, put it in a box, and you're fired. And then I went out for the rest of the day and the rest of the week and literally knocked on doors. I went door to door through neighborhoods, letting people know that I've got a new business in town. Every business we've had failures and setbacks, and that's what the book, The Painted Baby, is about, actually sharing those failures. So in our painting company, I think the biggest failure we had is when we had a paint sprayer explode and paint a customer's baby. Leadership opportunities that came out of what was going on the Camino.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our guys, he couldn't make it the next day. He couldn't start hiking because his feet were pretty blistered. They were pretty messed up. And, we just looked at adversity and how to be able to change and pivot and create other opportunities.
Welcome to the Grow and Learn podcast, your go-to source for expertise and insights on a variety of topics: business growth, leadership, technology, personal and business finance, and more. We've curated a vast network of business experts ready to address your company's most pressing challenges. Reach out to us for more information or schedule a call at GrowNLearn.org to explore how we can support you. Welcome to Grow and Learn, lovely souls, curious minds. Today I'm speaking to Matt Shoup, how to make it from $100 in your pocket to a multi-million-dollar multi-company portfolio. Hi, Matt. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining. I'm excited about our talk today and what you have to share and how to turn around your faith. Your journey kind of starts, from the day you were born, but your professional story starts from when you were laid off from your corporate investment banking career. Tell us a bit about what happened.
Yeah, leading up to it, as a young child, I got bullied, I got picked on. I didn't really fit into a lot of different social school settings, but I loved business and marketing. So I found one summer that I was able to make money by knocking on doors and cutting grass. We're in Colorado, so we get snow in the winter, shoveling snow. So I always had this interest in business, and I ended up working with a college painting company while I was in college. Made a bunch of money, spent way more than I made, and graduated college. And I said, hey, I'm going to go pursue mortgage banking. I thought that was really cool. It seemed really sexy, lots of money. Got to wear a suit and tie.
Yeah.
I'm there like 6 months, right? And hate it, absolutely hate it. So March of 2005, that was a real turning point for me. Again, I'm coming to a job that I hate every day, coming home telling my wife, we've got to figure out a way to end this. And they ended it for me. They had a new bank president come in and he started laying people off. He called me into the office. I thought to meet me and maybe want to talk about some creative marketing ideas. I was really bored there at the bank. And he told me to get all my crap. He called it another word. He said, get all your stuff, put it in a box, and you're fired. And literally threw me out of the bank. So at that point in my life, I'm 23 and recently married, had a brand new house, brand new car, school loans, lots of debt, and literally had $100 left in the bank. And I decided that day, hey, I'm never going to work for somebody again. Never going to work for somebody like that again either. And I'm going to do this business thing. I'm going to count and depend on myself. And I go, I've got to figure out what kind of business I want to run. I've got 10 minutes to drive home to then tell my new wife that I lost my job and the majority of our income. I'm making 80% of our money. And I said, I know how to run paint crews from the work I did in college. So in, Colorado, United States, you've got big suburb neighborhoods with homes that need painting usually every 7 to 10 years. So I came home and let her know I got fired. And then I went out for the rest of the day and the rest of the week and literally knocked on doors. I went door to door through neighborhoods, letting people know that I've got a new business in town. And that's how it all started.
Wow. I don't know what they call it. It's not beginner's like, because clearly you've cultivated it for a long time since you were a child, but it's like you were not brainwashed and molded. You were still young enough and lucky enough not to be pressurized and by the cookie cutter.
Absolutely.
and think you need to go by the mold. Yeah. So
It
you're
felt
lucky in
so
a
good
way.
to come home and undo the tie and unbutton the shirt. I mean, I wear $8 t-shirt and jeans. That's what I put on that day and just went out there. Yeah. And and I had experience working as a young kid doing this, and then the college painters, they taught how to knock on doors. But I mean, it was also very different drive at that point because in college, you needed to make a little bit of money for your food and your party and your social engagements every weekend. But now I had a wife, I had a house, car payment. There's a little bit more on the line. So it was definitely motivated at a different level.
Mhm. At the moment, you hold shares, or maybe you're the full owner of a number of companies.
Mhm.
What are the other companies? Could you share a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the painting company that we started in 2005, that's M&E Painting. That's now become M&E Painting and Roofing. So we do residential exterior roofing, siding, gutters, basically all home improvements. So that's company one. I have a real estate company where I'm actually a licensed realtor. So I help a small group of book of business or group of friends buy and sell real estate. We've got some real estate investments as well. And then I'm a co-owner of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. So I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2007, and that's just been a huge part of my life. And then the other company we have is my, speaking authorship. It's everything under the mattshoup.com brand. So speaking, writing, coaching, and then I take people on leadership adventures to Spain.
Okay, that's fantastic. Wow, that's a lot to unpack. Let's start with what what was important, what important thing did you learn, maybe, or how did you move away from the knocking on door to door to the other businesses? What was the thing that made you
Yeah.
that you learned that propelled you to enter other businesses?
Yeah, so in 2005, when I started the painting company, I realized, and this might not be every listener, but as a new business, just a quick piece of input and advice is find that one thing that you're really good at that generates you new business opportunities. For me, that was knocking on doors. So I did that for a really long time because I like doing it and I'm good at doing it. But then when I started getting too busy to do that, I needed to bring in other people and other methods so I could step out. It was 2011, so we're about 5, 6 years into business, and I started getting asked to speak a lot. So I didn't have plans to speak. I was actually kind of nervous as a public speaker. I hated the class in high school. I never thought I would get up and talk to anybody. But that speaking progressed from, hey, will you come speak at this small group to small club to, can we buy you coffee? Can we buy you lunch? How much can we pay you to speak? And I go, whoa, there's a demand for this. So that was how the second business started. And then real estate kind of came into the picture in 2016 just because I was personally investing. My wife and I were, and I said, "Hey, I might as well get licensed." Not thinking this would become a business where I would help a lot of other people. I thought I would just do it for me, but then all of a sudden, the people that are in my life and other business contacts said, "Well, if you're doing this, we'd love for you to help," and it just kind of naturally progressed from there.
Mhm. Okay. And you also mentioned before we started recording that you're in the process of writing two books, or you've already published them, children's books.
Yeah, so I've written 3 books total. The first one is called Become an Award-Winning Company. That actually teaches businesses how to win business awards and then leverage them to get free marketing exposure. So it's a very step-by-step process. It was my first book. I learned a lot writing the book. It's probably not my best book. The next book I wrote is called Painted Baby. And it's about connecting with clients through brave and vulnerable storytelling. So the premise is that we try to paint a picture of perfection in our business. We're always trying to put our shiny marketing brochure, A+ version of ourselves
Mm.
forward. And we actually prevent ourselves from connecting with people by doing that. It's actually in our worst moments, our mishaps, our screw ups, where we can actually connect with people. So I talk about how to build and share a story about when you've done that. So our painting company actually painted a baby. We had a paint sprayer explode on a job site and it painted a woman's baby and that was a very bad day. But my most recent book that I just published is called JJ Learns Jiu-Jitsu. It's an illustrated children's book and deals with the topic of bullying. and it introduces children to jiu-jitsu. It's really a parallel of my story of when I went through as a kid. And I really want people to leave that book and have children and parents be able to start a discussion about bullying and the realities of it and how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. What is your biggest passion right now that you feel like, yeah, I want to contribute and improve this part of the world, this group of people or whatever? Is
You know,
it
I just I
children?
just love I love people in general. Yeah, definitely children. So, I go to events or maybe I'll bump into a business owner. I just told my wife this morning, and I have a copy of Painted Baby, and I meet a business owner and I hand them a book and, sign the book. Hey, good luck. I hope this serves you. And like I love that. That's super exciting for me. But we went up and taught a jujitsu seminar this past Saturday up in Wyoming, and I brought a box of books. And, to be able to hand those out to kids, I thought was really cool. So I think I have a little extra passion for the kids and being able to have that resource. But for me, the end of the day, just being able to connect with somebody and contribute to their life, something that I have of value that can make their life better, that's really important for me. So we've really built all of our businesses around that. You and I were talking offline. Oh man, Matt, you have a lot of stuff. I don't know what we talk about, but really, I get up every day and find ways to connect, contribute, and care for people. And that's all that business really is at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've spoken to quite a few people, and especially coaches and consultants that come on this show, and I have another channel, Heal and Learn, that talks a bit more about health. And they all say they're really struggling at the moment to um, move ahead, to develop their business. It's like they're in the process of constantly being stuck in a way.
Yes.
It's really tough
Mhm.
to move the needle.
Yeah.
So going back to your story of starting with $100 and knocking on the door, what can you share that is maybe useful for this group of people?
I love that you mentioned that because I've been in those places where I'm stuck, and it's so frustrating, especially for a business owner, because we work so hard, right? It's a passion. We've invested, we've mortgaged our home, we've taken out loans, and then we get to this point where, we have some initial success, but then we get stuck. So a couple of pointers is first, if you're stuck, it is totally okay to be stuck, to admit that you're stuck. I think as business owners, we want to go out in front of other business owners. How's business today? Oh, everything's great. No, it really sucks today. I'm stuck. Business is down. This economy is kicking our butt. Just be real and be honest with other people about that. So that's step one. Step two is I would say, we're in the roofing industry, right? Trying to get traction there.
Mhm.
We have hailstorms in Colorado. Everybody after a hailstorm comes to your house and knocks on your door at 8 in the morning and harasses you to try to get your business. That's what everybody's doing. Find what everybody's doing in your industry and do something totally different, totally off the wall. Call it crazy, just a wild, crazy idea. Try it and see what happens. We did this with roofing. We actually ended up, instead of knocking on doors to harass people about their roof and their hailstorm, we went to a local coffee shop and we said, hey, we're going to pay for everybody's coffee for the next 2 hours every Friday for 2 months. So we had a budget, right? We had a plan.
Mhm.
Then we went and knocked on doors, and they knew we were roofers. We had it on our t-shirt, and we said, hey, we're not here to harass you about the hailstorm. Just come get coffee on us. And they're like, what? Totally different. Everybody thought it was crazy. We spent $15,000 on coffee, US dollars,
Yeah.
and we generated $500,000 of revenue. So if you're stuck and you're doing the same thing over and over, you're going to keep getting what you get. What's the saying? If you keep doing the
Right.
same thing, expecting,
Mhm.
try something different.
Mhm.
Um, Reach out for help, get a mentor, get a coach. I really would recommend the book Get Different from Mike Michalowicz. He's a great friend of mine. He also writes about this. Just try something different in marketing. And I
Mhm.
think so many times when we get stuck, admitting it, trying something different, getting a coach is step outside of your business. Find a time and a place and a space to rejuvenate, refresh, just mentally. We're so in the trenches every day. Just say, I got to turn business off for 48 hours and drive to the beach, drive to the mountains, whatever that is for you. Find
Mhm.
your happy place, right?
Mhm.
And just reflect. And that is where a lot of ideas will start popping in and popping together. At least that's helped me.
Yeah. Do you source some of your ideas from the other areas of interest and the other businesses that you have, like from the jiu-jitsu business, because just a side note, when it comes to business model innovation, this is where it usually happens when you borrow some ideas or business models from other industries and you combine them, you reshuffle them in a way. How does it work for you?
Yeah. It really has, yes. So when I lived in Spain in college, when it was my junior year, I was 20, and fell in love with the country, the people, the food. I just love Spain. I'm there all the time, and I love the way they drink coffee. So I'll kind of share this coffee story. Is I would go to Spain. I love the way they drink coffee, so I wanted to bring a bag back for myself. So I bring a bag back. And then a friend says, "Hey, that's really good coffee. Bring a bag for me." So I'm bringing it for friends. And then I said, this might be cool to bring as like a gift in the real estate business when we help somebody buy a home. So now I'm kind of mixing this passion, as a fun marketing thing. They love the coffee. They said, "Matt, next time you go to Spain, bring more coffee." So I'm now bringing suitcases of coffee back from Spain. I'm shipping boxes back from Spain. So we actually just downstairs here built a coffee bar in our office.
Yeah.
So this is one of my bigger real estate holdings. It's a big building here in Loveland. When you walk in, anybody that walks in, they walk into Cafe Sevilla and they can get a free cup of Spanish coffee. So we show love to others and we share coffee with them. Sometimes they'll leave a little tip, and then we send that as a scholarship to our university to send students to Spain. So we've been able to take this passion, which is coffee, and turn it into a way to connect with other potential people in business. So right now we're actually raising money to build a coffee trailer that we're going to take out into the community to just go park somewhere. So this is again a different idea. We'll go park at a school one morning and say, "Hey, all of the teachers and parents, come get free coffee on us." Our painting company or roofing company sponsored this. So it's a fun way to contribute, but then it also is a different way to market and get your business out there.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So the Sevilla coffee is actually in the premises of your real estate company at the moment.
So actually the building we have, it's about a 5,000 square foot building. So you walk in and 200 square feet of it is it's like a lobby to a building, and it has a little coffee machine. Like it's not a coffee shop, it's not a business. And then there's a set of glass doors, and behind that is the jiu-jitsu academy. And then you go upstairs and we have all of our offices and then our storage garage. So that building, we rent space to all of the companies. But right, somebody comes in to maybe bring their child to jujitsu, they get a coffee, and then they go, "Oh, you guys do painting? Well, we need our house painted." Or, a painting customer comes in to pay their bill. "Hey, here's a cup of coffee." They go, "Oh, we do jujitsu. My grandson's getting bullied." So it really integrates really, really nicely for us here.
I'm excited to introduce a groundbreaking service we're offering in collaboration with our partners, Analytics. This service is designed to help you identify bottlenecks and uncover low-hanging fruits for innovation within your organization. Analytics performs a comprehensive assessment through a digital questionnaire that we distribute to your employees. The result is a detailed dashboard that highlights key innovation indicators and areas where improvement is needed. Armed with these insights, we from GrowNLearn will connect you to the ideal consultant, trainer, coach, or speaker from our global network of top-tier experts to address any gaps and drive growth. Don't forget to check out the links in the description for special offers from our partners, including a free LinkedIn profile assessment. Now enjoy the next segment of this GrowNLearn podcast episode. Let's talk about jiu-jitsu now that you mentioned it. My son used to go to jiu-jitsu for a bit while we were living in Bulgaria for a short period of time.
Awesome.
And he superbly enjoyed it. It was amazing. And I couldn't find anything in the area where we live now in Austria to continue taking him there. But what in jiu-jitsu kept you in this area of martial arts? What's in it that's so special?
Yeah, it's a self-defense based martial art where somebody that is a smaller opponent can defeat and defend themselves against somebody who is bigger, stronger, and faster than them. So there's a lot of components of using leverage and timing and technique. So Jiu-jitsu is basically somebody, approaches you to try to push you, strike you, grab you. You grab a hold of them. You defend yourself first. You grab a hold of them. You take them down to the ground, and then you can very nicely and gently submit them. So you can put a choke, you can crank their wrist or their arm, and basically get them to tap out, right? You can completely immobilize somebody, and you don't need to be bigger and stronger than them. So I got bullied growing up. I didn't find jujitsu till I was 27. So when I walk into this gym, I was lifting weights, I was big and strong, and they put me with this kid. He was half my age, half my size. And they said, here's the goal: grab him, take him to the ground, and just hold him there. Don't even worry about trying to choke him. We'll show you all that stuff later. And I'm like, well, this is easy. This kid, Timmy, he's tiny. He's a little baby. He's like 13. And this kid grabs me. Like, he grabs me, Zarina, throws me over his head, jumps on top of me. I can't get him off. He's like a little spider monkey. And then he spins around and cranks my arm, and I'm tapping out. I'm giving up. So it struck me as very interesting that, man, this kid can do this to me. This is really cool. And then that's what kept me coming back.
And how is it different than karate, for example?
Yeah, so karate, you and I are going to stand in front of each other, right? And I'm going to try to chop, strike, punch, kick you. And if I'm bigger and stronger than you, and I strike you or I kick you, I have an advantage there. Okay. I mean, you may have more skill.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cool things about it, though, is in jujitsu, if you and I grapple, we can go 100% full speed and spar. We can fight. And then if you want to stop or I want to stop, we tap out. So there's less likelihood that you can hurt your opponent, right? Boxing, karate, you throw a kick or a punch or something like that, you can really hurt somebody. So you're prevented in the amount that you can go all out. And then, like karate, I've never trained karate, but from the limited experience that I've seen with it, people I know that do it, you don't get into a lot of the groundwork. They do grapple in karate, but a lot of self-defense engagements and fights, they'll end up on the ground. And if you don't know what you're doing down there, it's very much like being thrown into a pool where you can't swim. Yeah.
And so how do you market the Jiu-Jitsu training academy now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be on a podcast, at least locally, right? So we have a podcast here that we record in this studio. So we talk a lot about jujitsu on the podcast, and that's out there in the community. Our community, our school is about 100 to 120 students, and a lot of them bring friends and family in. So we get half of our business is word of mouth and referral. The other 25% is from our other businesses being out in the community. And then the other, 20, 25% of that is just, we'll straight invite somebody. Hey, you should come check out jiu-jitsu. Come give it a try.
It seems that your business is very local to Colorado. And when you coach or when you speak, is there some type of an advice that is transferable to online businesses and to something that is not related, where you couldn't possibly do physical stuff around?
Yeah. If you're an online business, or maybe you have a statewide or a national, even international scope, I think the premises are still the same, right? If you're stuck, what is everybody doing? Just try something different, right? And online, I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I know when you're talking about, conversions and impressions and click through, all of that, if you're not getting that, you want to improve that, try something different. Maybe it's something different in your messaging or your landing pages. Maybe you're not hooking the right client the right way, or maybe they're kind of falling out the back door. Just try new things and track and measure new things. So I talk a lot about marketing. I've tried so many things with marketing in the businesses, and you can't have knowledge on things that you don't measure. So measuring it's going to be very, very important.
Yeah. Since you started the P&E roofing, was it the
M&D? Yeah.
M&E roofing? Have you had any failures ever since, or was it all an upward story?
No, every business we've had failures and setbacks, and that's what the book. So Painted Baby is about actually sharing those failures. So in our painting company, I think the biggest failure we had is when we had a paint sprayer explode and paint a customer's baby. That was not good. We also have painted the wrong house before. We actually painted a house we weren't supposed to. We got the addresses confused.
Hilarious. It's like
How would
pulling
you
the
like to
wrong
come
tooth.
home? Yeah, be like pulling the wrong tooth, amputating the wrong leg, and I think in every business. But we joke about certain things. I mean, amputating a wrong leg, that's gonna give somebody some permanent consequences. But I think there's power in a business when you make a mistake. Okay, so our company, we've won dozens of awards, ethics awards, best place to work, all these things, A+ reviews, 5-star reviews, all of this, right? And you share that with people, but everybody says that. Everybody, "Hey, this is why we're perfect," right? No, like we screw things up sometimes. We actually painted a baby, wrote a book about it. Here's the story. I use this book a lot in the business to just build bridges and trust with customers. Now on the roofing side, I mean, we've put the wrong shingles on. We have not roofed the wrong house yet. We don't plan on doing that anytime soon. But yeah, we'll have little mishaps in all of the businesses.
Mhm. Taking a breath. What shall I ask you next? Where would you like to go in this conversation? I am still curious about the entrepreneurial advice that we can get out of you. So when it
Yeah.
comes to your second book that you mentioned, I don't remember the name exactly. It was about publicity. Or was it this one?
Paint a baby. Yeah, this was my second one.
Was
Yeah.
this the one about winning awards and publicity? No.
No, that's
No.
that's become an award-winning company. That was my first one, and I wrote that one in 2011.
Mhm. So could you share a few steps maybe from this book or from this?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So let's see. It's funny how the book came about because I was starting to speak, and a lot of the speaking that I was doing it was like, what are the top 10 pieces of advice to grow a company? So I had this message, this keynote really dialed in, and I applied for an event to speak, and they said, we need two topics if you want to speak. We're going to pick between two. I said, well, I only have one. And they go, well, if you want to speak, you need to give me a second one. And we had just won a couple of business awards locally. And I said, okay, I can talk about how we won business awards. I didn't think they would pick it. And they said, ooh, that's really interesting. You should speak about that. So I had to fairly quickly come up with some bullet points. And what I found in my experience running businesses is a new business might look at an existing business that has won, Inc. 5000, best of, biggest this, best workplace, and go, man, I could never do that. But I found that there are different levels of business awards at every level of business. And if you first decide and understand that there's a little bit of a business behind it, right? This award company wants to recognize a business, and then they're going to throw an awards ceremony, right? Where they invite businesses and they sell tickets and
Mhm.
they have business sponsors and they actually there's a business model with that. So there's a little bit of a business model to winning awards, but there basically are places that want to give businesses awards. So you first just need to search for those. It's really simple. You search, you make a list, you see what you qualify for, and you just start to apply for those awards. Now, you obviously don't want to apply for something you don't qualify for. That's not going to go far. But the biggest thing that we found in applying for these awards is a big portion of most of the awards is having a compelling story that that hits on the heart of what that award is about. So if you're going to apply for a winning workplace or a top workplace, what's the compelling story you have within your business that will show those judges that you're a winning workplace? And you write that story, right? You make sure that you have it crafted well, that you have an editing team or a developmental team, and really just keep doing that process. What I tell people is, I applied for 4 awards. We got 0 out of the first 4. And I was pretty down. I said, I don't know if I'm going to apply for another one. This is a waste of time. And somebody just said, you know what, try this one. You're getting close. And we applied for that and we won. So it's just a numbers game.
Mhm.
The cool thing about it though is you go, okay, you won an award. So what? That is permanent marketing that you can place with your brand, with your company on your website. That's going to get pushed out throughout social media, and they're going to advertise for you. So all of these methods and means that these awards companies are promoting their event, right, or their gala or whatever it is, you're going to be front and center at that. So there's a lot of benefits to winning those awards, but a lot of companies just don't know about that. And
Mhm.
it's free. It's free or it's very, very inexpensive. You usually don't have to pay to apply for these, but the exposure you get from them is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. And what is the time investment though? It seems that it's very time consuming to research, apply. Is it,
It is,
clearly it
yeah,
is worth it, but how
yeah,
long does it take to come up with a compelling story, write it up, edit
yeah.
it, and everything?
Each award is different. What I tell people is when you first start, the first one's going to take you the longest. You know, the second one, what'll happen is after you do 4, 5, 10 of these, you know what kind of questions they're going to ask, right? So you have a template built out. So we at one point just had a template, and then we had somebody on our team when we were doing a lot of these just apply for these. So you can do it all yourself if you have more time than money and personnel resources, or if you have somebody on the team in your marketing advertising department, just, we would do a couple hours a week, maybe 3, 4 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. I see. Um, Before we started recording, I briefly watched a very like a compelling, catchy short video of yours on your YouTube channel, and you were talking about your first hires, how to overcome the
Yeah.
gap between the revenues and the whether you should invest in the first hire. Um, do you still hold this opinion as truth?
Yeah, it's always a balance, right? So it's like the chicken and the egg analogy. I meet
Mhm,
so many business owners and they start as they're really just self-employed, right? They have nobody else working for them. So everything you do is trading time for money. And what I tell business owners is find what you love, find what you're great at, and stick to that. So what do you love? What are you great at? And what makes your business the most money? Where those three things intersect, you want to hold on to that at the beginning. Next question, what do you not love? What are you not really great at? What's usually taking a lot of your time, and how can you replace that with somebody that can do that? So for me, bookkeeping, accounting, spreadsheets, I hate all that stuff. So when you find out what that is, you then need to carve a certain amount of time out of your business where you are dedicated to searching for that person and hiring them and making that move. The issue businesses have is they say, well, I need to make this much more to be able to hire that person. So they're waiting for the chicken instead of the egg, right? But they can't make any more because they're out of time. So what I tell people is there's always this gap of faith where you have to just hire that person and then train them. And once they get going, they're going to free up more time for you to do what you're good at, which actually generates more revenue. But it's always scary hiring that first person.
mhm. Would you recommend all the fractional help that you can get in various areas now, in sales, in
Yes, I
marketing?
love that.
Yeah.
I do. I love that because, back in the day and this is in our business, I couldn't hire like a fractional painter. I needed a full-time painter. But yeah, there's so many resources from marketing to I love the fractional like bookkeeping, CFO types of services, the fractional online marketing, or just, hey, I really hate accounting. I need maybe a stay-at-home mom or somebody that just wants to work part-time from home to help me do these journal entries and reconcile bank statements. And, it's 5 hours a month because you might not be ready to hire a full-time person that is a full-time employee of your company. You might just need little bits and pieces of help. But I guarantee when you can free up, 1 hour a day, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week to then lean into what you're really good at, it makes a huge difference in the business.
Mhm. I see.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Matt, is there something else that you wanted to share today that I didn't ask you?
No, I think just reminding everybody that when we start business and every day when we engage in business, we have to look at profit and loss statements, right? Like our business needs to be profitable. But I say that if you focus on the profit, the people will run. When you pour into people, the profit will come. And the point of that is just as you're growing your business, you need to measure the measurables, but remember that you're working with people. They have stories, they have lives, and you get a chance to contribute to those people in a really big way. And when you can find a way to integrate a successful business that is profitable with being able to pour into people, that's where you really don't have to work another day in your life and you really get to contribute to the world in a bigger way.
I have a very beautiful background, Matt, and I presume it is from one of the hills in Barcelona. And you mentioned you're taking groups of people to Spain quite regularly. The
Yeah.
hike of a lifetime is what you call it. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, so I lived in Spain. We talked about this earlier in the show. I lived in Spain in college, totally fell in love with it, and I go back every year. I'll alternate between bringing my son and then my daughter, and then the whole family goes. And I always said there's certain things in my life I don't want to turn into a business, but I love sharing Spain with people. So I'm always bringing things back to the United States. So we kind of did a pilot test 2, 3 years ago. We actually took my team from my company over to Spain to do this leadership retreat. So we had adventures and challenges and, the fun food, sun culture, all of that. And it went really well. I hiked the Camino, part of it, for the first time in 2019. And then I came back with my son in 2022 to hike it. So in 2023, I just kind of pitched out an idea to a number of my friends and just kind of business people that I know. I said, hey, how would you guys like to come over and hike on the Camino? So we unplug, disconnect, turn off the phones, and we hike 72 miles over 6 days. You've done it, I think we talked about.
I've
Yeah, so
done a short part, 7 days,
so
not
the
the full.
Saria,
Mhm.
that Saria to Santiago trek. So I took 7 people over there last September, and it was phenomenal. I mean, just the food and the company, seeing the country, and really these are high performing business leaders that just really needed to unplug, recenter, revision, and refocus. So we closed this hike out, and one of the last days, one of the guys that's there, he looked at me and he said, "Hey, you did this with your son, right?" I said, "Yeah, he was 12. He was 12 or 13 when we did it." And he said, "I think my son would love to do this." And I go, "Huh, what would it look like to do a father-son hike of a lifetime?" So we're actually doing that next June, 2025. We're going to do the father-son hike of a lifetime. And we're going to bring groups of, dads and their kiddos over to hike that same trek. And we're going to focus on some very intentional, father-son activities just for bonding and growing their relationship. So I every year, every other year, will do a hike of a lifetime. I may just open it up to just general participants. Sometimes we'll have a specific focus as well. This time is father-son.
Mhm, mhm. And how do you mentor these people, or what is the format in a way? Do you just speak while you're walking or in the evening? How is it structured?
Yeah, it's funny. The first day, I always tell everybody this is just a get to know everybody. You're literally walking 16 miles the first day. So everybody's just kind of getting to know each other, but we'll start the day with like 2 or 3 priming questions and things that we want to think about. And then I'm very intentional with spending time with everybody as we're walking the trail during that day. But then at the end of the day, we get to our hotel, we settle in, and then we'll get together for dinner. So we'll have different activities and conversations and experiences, leading into, during, or after dinner.
Mhm.
So what I found is I'm very structured, right? So I'm kind of a control freak. I'm a little structured, and I like to think I know how to make a great experience. What I found on the Camino was we planned things and they happened, but so much happened naturally and organically, as well as leadership opportunities that came out of what was going on the Camino. So
Mhm.
one of our guys, he couldn't make it the next day. He couldn't start hiking because his feet were pretty blistered. They were pretty messed up. And, we just looked at adversity and how to be able to change and pivot and create other opportunities. We got him through creatively, but we got him through. So a lot of things just organically occurred that were really, really special as well.
Mm, fantastic. So you mentioned you're only doing the 7-day experience towards the end, the same that you've
Mhm.
done. Mhm, you don't. Okay, I see.
On these retreats, yeah. So I'd love to. So it's funny, my son and I were like, yeah, we'd love to do the whole 30 days, right? The whole 500
Mhm.
miles.
Yeah.
My wife and daughter, they're like, no, we don't want to walk that much. Just I don't think, like, my daughter, she goes, I don't want to do the Camino. I like the beach and the hotels and hanging out with puppies and babies. Like that's her thing.
Yeah.
So, but I'd like to do the entire thing one day. I'm trying to talk my family into it still.
Mm. I know quite a few. I know somebody who's doing it regularly, and I know a few people that, but in Europe, people do it more often, it seems, because it's close by.
Yeah. when we were walking, a fun story, we hear these little footsteps, coming up behind us pretty fast. To go, wow, that must be a, young, energetic person. This woman is 75.
Hmm.
She got her little sticks, little Spanish lady, and she's like, hey, ¿qué pasa, chicos? And talked to her for maybe 2 minutes. And she goes, yep, I've been hiking the whole trail, just finishing up. She does the whole trail every year, takes a
Wow,
month and hikes the whole
fantastic.
Camino. Yeah,
Yeah, fantastic. It's a great way to meet people as well, and all kinds of people from all around the world. It's
it is.
fantastic. You mentioned somewhere in your bio that you do a Christian business. I'm not quite sure how you define it. So
Uh-huh.
there is an element of faith in your
Yeah,
contributions.
yeah.
What to what extent has Christianity helped you um, progress in what you do?
I found Jesus in the back of a police car when I was almost dead from being overdosed on drugs and alcohol when I was 19. And I would say if I didn't find or know or meet Jesus, I'd probably still be doing business, but I would be a real jerk of a person that was only about the money and the fame and the notoriety. I'd be full of pride. So knowing and following Jesus and following the things that he taught to people has absolutely made my business better and the lives of people in business better.
Can you clarify a bit? What do you mean by you found him? Did you have a clinical death or what happened?
No, so see how much time do we have left?
We have
What do we
enough
got on
time.
time? We good on time? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
so I did not grow up in a faith-based household. And my first experience meeting, Christians and Jesus followers were not good ones. Everything from going to a youth group for the first time and getting embarrassed because I didn't know how to answer a question and I wasn't really comfortable answering it. So I got laughed out of the room. I said, I don't want to hang around these people that know Jesus. All the way to college, you'd see the guy in the plaza. He'd be standing on the box in the plaza, like telling you you're going to go to hell and just, thumping you with the Bible, these doomsday preachers. Then to, walking down the dorm room halls every Friday night, I'd come home really drunk. I was doing drugs and drinking and partying, chasing women. And I'd come home and there was this guy in his dorm having a Bible study. So he'd be playing his guitar, singing the Jesus music, and they'd always have Chipotle. It's like a Mexican restaurant food, and never invited me in. He would just like chastise me and judge me from the other side of this door. So I was just very turned off and I didn't want to have anything to do. I knew Jesus and his story, but like you guys are a bunch of hypocrites and you're judgmental and you're kind of weird and I just want to go get drunk and do the thing, but I was very unhappy. I was very hurt from, being bullied growing up and not being accepted and all these other things. So I'm out partying one night and I get really drunk and then we start doing drugs and we leave a party. It's New Year's morning in Colorado, so it's extremely cold. And I'm trying to walk home from a house party through this field. And I generally knew the direction of where I lived, but it was really cold. And I'm realizing that. So I start running to try to warm up, and then I get lost in a neighborhood. I try to cut through somebody's residence, like through their yard, trying to climb their fence. And a car pulls up behind me. And it's not a police car, it's a brown Ford Astro van. And this guy jumps out and he grabs me and slams me onto the hood of the car. I'm looking through his windshield, and his wife and kids are in the car. And he says, hey, I'm the Fort Collins police. Put your hands behind your back. And I'm like, you're not the police. You got a baby in the car. Like, you're not in a police car. So I'm handcuffed. They put me in a police car. And as I'm getting a ride home, they basically told me, hey, we can take you to jail, put you in detox, or tell me where you live and how to get there, and I'll drive you home. So those were the two choices I had. And I just remembered how to get home. So this police officer, he's screaming at me, he's yelling at me, what the hell are you doing out here drinking? Do you know how, you could get hurt, you could die, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, just take me home. I think I'm gonna throw up. And he's like, okay, let's go home. But so the first time in my life, this is the big shift here is he opens the door, gets me out of the car, and he's like, hey, Matt, I just want to apologize. I was kind of a dick to you. This is what he said. He goes, I was kind of a jerk to you in the car because you reminded me of a kid that we picked up. He was working in another city. He had just moved here. He goes, hey, back when I used to live in this big metropolitan area, we picked a kid up. He looked just like you. He was drunk just like you. And as we were taking him home, we realized that like he died. So
Oh,
this kid just died. And he goes, then I had to go to his parents' home and tell him that he died. And that wasn't a good thing. So he said, you just reminded me of that young man. It sparked a lot of emotion. And he just takes me up out of the car, lets me out of the handcuffs. And he did not quote a Bible verse. He didn't tell me about Jesus. He didn't, there was no magical moment. He just said, hey, I just want you to know that you're loved. And I hope next time I see you, you're in a better place. And I'm just glad I could get you home safe. And he said, Happy New Year. Like, have a good day.
Yeah.
So, I go home, I'm really sick. I wake up the next day and I was just like, I said, after all of these exposures with Christians that are supposed to show love and forgiveness and kindness, I'm just not receiving that. This guy, he's a cop, right? He has control, power, authority to punish me, put me in prison. So you just think of that analogy, right? Like, this guy had all of the opportunity to judge me, and he just gave me some grace and some forgiveness. And I don't think he was a Christian guy trying to like turn me to Jesus. He just, as a human, showed me love. And that was one of the few times, but first times in that part of my life that I was able to see that. So I wake up that next day and I reached out to a friend of mine who I knew was a Christian, but was never really pushy about it. And I said, hey, here's kind of what's going on in my life. And we just started talking, and they said, hey, you need to read these couple of books by Lee Strobel, Case for Faith and Case for Christ. So I read those books over, a couple of week period. And again, I had been exposed to Jesus's teachings in this time. And yeah, I decided to turn my life over. I was January 14th of 2001. And it really was from almost being dead in a field, getting thrown in the back of a police car.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic story. And it's actually the teachings that you read, and not necessarily the religious part of it that turned your life around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Jesus's story and how he came to this world and who he claimed to be and what he taught and what he did for people. Yeah, I think when when people say, "Oh, Matt, you're really religious," I'm not religious at all. You look in the Bible at the Pharisees and how they followed the rules and the laws, and they were always trying to pull a got you on Jesus. And he's like, "Hey, like, you're just here to love and forgive people and serve people." Yeah, so I think that having that as part of my life, being the foundation of our business and our business model is huge.
That's a lovely way to end this conversation.
Well, thanks for letting me share. Yeah, thanks for letting me talk about it.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being authentic and open to talk about these things. Where can people get your books, get a hold of you for your coaching, and maybe find the M&P? I forgot the name again.
M&E, yeah.
M&E company.
Yeah, so everything's on my website, mattshoup.com.
Mm-hmm. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
It was a joy having you on. Thank you for listening to Grow and Learn. We hope that you found our podcast informative, engaging, and inspiring. Our mission is to help you keep growing and learning, and we hope that our conversations and insights have provided you with practical advice and useful perspectives. If you're looking for personalized support and guidance to help you achieve your personal or professional growth objectives, I offer a range of services to help. As a trusted management partner and mentor, I work with businesses in the process of transformation, looking for new streams of business, as well as M&A. With an extensive professional network of experts and mentors, I can bring on board the right person or team based on the specific needs of the company I'm working with. To learn more about the services I offer and how I can help you achieve your goals, visit my website at GrowNLearn.org. You can also reach out to me via email or social media. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode of Grow and Learn, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us, and it helps us to continue to create content that is relevant and valuable to our listeners. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights and perspectives with you in the future.